When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Hello there, all you out in podcast land. We are here with SeptumSin versus the world. I'm SeptumSin. I'm here with Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
It is that time of year again where we are honoring the greatest movies of the year, according to the Academy and political vote. Like
Indeed.
last year, we are going to be talking about our predictions as to who's going to win. We both have those that we think are going to be definite winners, and we're going to also have one that we feel is a runner-up. Mm-hmm. Last year we did one, it lasted way too long and got next to no views. So this time we're going to go for a shorter one. So instead of talking about all the nominees, go back and listen to our Oscar podcast where we did talk about all the nominees. And this year we will be running over it. So we're going to start with this at the bottom of the list with original screenplay. So we both have different methods for picking. I did pretty well last year, so I'm going to be sticking with my research method, where I've researched various sites.
Whoa.
And we've had a cat accident.
We got dive bombed by Foo.
So, let me make sure that was changed there. So, we have various methods to our madness. We have watched a number of them this year, and we're going to talk about grand totals right now. So we've got our numbers for what we've seen, which is much more than my initial 5.
Yeah.
I'm now up to 25, so I've seen 20 since the nominations.
And I've seen 28 total.
So we've had quite a bit. So we're going to start with Best Original Screenplay. I will go first with my research method since I finally got over to it, which will be good. When you're talking about it, I can go hunting for the next one. So for me, everything points to the favorite. Before the Whisper campaign, and of course Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara. Before the Whisper campaign against it, Nick Vallogna, Brian Curie, and Peter Farrelly were the favorite for Green Book. But after that, it looks like it's a pretty strong favorability in my mind that the favorite will get it this year. So what are your thoughts?
Well, the way I see it as probably a 2-horse race between the favorite and Roma. The screenplay awards often are given as token nods to others, and there is a token nomination for the best screenplay on the list, which is First Reformed. That is a great screenplay, but it doesn't have much chance of winning. The Academy will probably give it to Roma or The Favorite, depending on which one gets the most votes. If one of them gets a sweep, that's the one that's going to win. But I'm going to go with Roma. But I do think that if there is not a sweep, The Favorite will get this one as its token nod, I think.
So, Favorite's your third up.
Yeah, well, no, I think I want First Reform. But The Favorite's my second. I think Roma's going to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to let you start off with Best Adapted Screenplay while I go find it on mine.
Okay. So adapted screenplay, here is one where we could end up with a token win for Can You Ever Forgive Me or If Beale Street Could Talk, or The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. But I really think this one's going to be a 2-horse race between A Star Is Born and Black Klansman. I think Black Klansman doesn't have the momentum, really. Spike Lee doesn't quite have the momentum to beat Alfonso Cuarón for director. So this could be where he'll get his win. And I think he will get a win this year. I think Oscar will make that happen. So I'm going to go with Black Klansman for this one.
See, I'm also going for Charlie Watchell, David Rabinowitz, Kevin Wilmot, and Spike Lee for Black Klansman. Though there is no clear second. Every piece of research I did gave this the win, hands down. It's got a good shot. To me, it's a very strong shot. But if I were to put a second place in, I would give it to Eric Roth and Bradley Cooper and Will Fetters for A Star Is Born.
It is a well-written movie. It definitely is.
So I got to write it down because I'm going to be looking at this on my score sheet come Oscar time.
Right. And not to mention, Bradley Cooper could join the proud tradition of people like Emma Thompson, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon, who have Oscars for writing instead of acting.
Visual effects.
Yes. One of the categories that I have seen all the nominees. Yeah. There are 4 that I have seen all the nominees. And, these are all impressive films visually. They really are. They're all impressive. But hands down, the winner should be Avengers Infinity War. And I think the only other one that could be a spoiler will be either First Man or Ready Player One. Yeah.
Ready Player One was visually spectacular. But again, everything I saw pointed towards Dan DeLeeuw. I know you were very important on trying to get all the names when we did any of the announcements.
DeLeeuw.
Kelly Port, Russell Earl, and Dan Sudik for Avengers Infinity War. Now, to me, Avengers Infinity War, it's the only category it's up for. It is up against a Star Wars movie. It is up against Ready Player One, which is a Spielberg movie. But I have a strong feeling this year, all of the odds makers, all the people betting, are betting on this to win.
Right.
So that is my guess for visual effects.
Right.
All right. So back to sound mixing.
The Sound Awards. Do you want to do these together or separate?
I gotta keep looking them up. So
I mean, they're almost the same. We have for sound mixing, Black Panther, First Man, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Roma. For sound editing, Black Panther, First Man, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Roma. The only difference is A Star Is Born for mixing versus Quiet Place for editing. And honestly, that may be the difference. I think Roma's going to get mixing, and it might get editing as part of a sweep. But if there's any fairness in the world, it will go to A Quiet Place for editing. And honestly, A Star Is Born is pretty damn good for the mixing. So they're all good for the mixing, Frank. I mean, frankly, they're all great sound. All of them are.
So for me, though, sound mixing, again, I've done a lot of research, and to me it's a race against Paul Massey, Tim Cavajan, and John Casale for Bohemian Rhapsody, and Tom Ozanich, Dean Zupancic, Jason Rutter, and Steve Morrow for A Star Is Born. Everything I've researched has said Bohemian Rhapsody, and Bohemian Rhapsody, except for maybe 1 or 2 sources saying A Star Is Born. I'm saying Bohemian Rhapsody. That's my choice as to what I predict is going to be for sound mixing.
I think if there's no sweep for Roma, it does have a really good chance.
And you say, I have had no buzz. I've had no buzz for Roma in these categories.
The sound is phenomenal in the film.
But again, it's just, nothing on Gold Derby, nothing on any of the sites that predict. And again, this is how I'm going for predictions.
And you said, wow.
Yes, every prediction I have come upon for sound editing has been for Eiling Lee, which would be a good award to have for an Asian individual. Mildred Latrell, Morgan for First Man.
Right.
I have this as the only one that has come up on the sound editing circle. To me, there might be some go for A Quiet Place. I would like to see that. That would be my favorite, since there is no second in mine. Cat again. He keeps jumping from the couch onto the table where we have the microphone. I should be putting him up in the picture. Any case, that's my thoughts as far as the sound editing is
Sometimes
concerned.
they'll use the sound categories as token nods. So if they give First Man and Bohemian Rhapsody, I could see that happening as their token wins, you know.
So, we're going to short film live action.
Incidentally, the sound categories are two of the others that I've seen all the nominees. But not so much with short film live action.
What, you haven't seen all the short film?
I've only seen one of these.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Well, the only one I've seen is Fauve, and it's a good movie. It's kind of disturbing. Really disturbing, really. Honestly, I know very little about most of these, so I'm going to guess Detainment will win. But that's completely out of nowhere.
So, I've seen two of these, which is Fauve and Skin. I have the hardest ones. Live action animated.
Live action animated?
The animated short films. Those are the ones that are the one. That's the only category they really talk about. It's hard to find buzz about the short films.
Yeah.
But I did manage to tie into some buzz, and it's between two films. Marguerite for Marianne Farley and Mary Helen Panisette. And then, of course, Skin for Guy Nativ and Jamie Ray Newman. Skin has a strong component because we have a racial component, and is a very well done film. But Marguerite is done according to what I've read. I haven't been able to see this because they try their darndest to make sure that only people can see this are the people in the Academy ever. Even after the awards, they become hard to see. It's only the animated ones that are easier to track down after the awards.
I've seen one category in its entirety, but live action is always the hardest one to find. It's
But Marguerite, from everything I've read, it is very much old school Oscar style, and it is, at least in talk, a favorite to win this year. So I'm going for Marguerite. We'll see how we go this time around.
Sounds good.
All right, so speaking of the one that's talked about
Animated
most often.
short, yes.
Go for it.
Okay, well, this is one category where I have seen two of the films, and I've seen very little about the other films. I think I saw some positive buzz about Late Afternoon and Animal Behavior. I have seen Bao, which has the advantage of being a Disney Pixar film and having tons of exposure as such, and One Small Step. And I love them both. I really loved One Small Step. I mean, I really loved it. And that one is the one I really hope will win. And Pixar does not have a lock on this category the way it does the animated feature category. But
that's up for debate this year.
That is up for debate this year. I think it could go either way. I'm going to go with One Small Step, but I'm probably going to lose that one.
So, best animated feature, as I said before, short film. That one actually is one of the few I can find buzz about.
Yeah.
And all the buzz is around Bao. None of the buzz is around anything else. Though, I also saw One Small Step. And since all the others withdrew, almost every single one of these was on YouTube until they were nominated, which they quickly took off. So screw them. And I'm going to probably go with Bao because Bao is pretty much the one that has the most buzz. Now,
the nominees being Dome Shi and Becky Naaman Cobb.
Yes. And then, of course, for One Small Step, Andrew Chesworth and Bobby Pontillas. That's going to be my second if it doesn't go to Bao, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It is an excellent one. It is the only other one I saw. And for the fact that they managed to let them still have access to this film, that to me, it deserves my respect.
Right. Production design. We're getting back into the realm of ones that I haven't seen. Well, wait. Actually, we just did a couple I've barely seen.
Yeah,
I've seen three. I've seen three of these. Okay. So for production design, we have a history-making nomination for Hannah Beachler, first African-American female is nominated in this category, for Black Panther. And they're going to want to give something to Black Panther, or people will riot. I think the favorite is possibly could pull a sweep, and Roma could possibly pull a sweep. And both of them would have a very strong argument for this category, whether or not they pull a sweep. But I'm going to go with Black Panther. I might lose, but that's what I'm going with.
You know, it's weird. I have yet to put Roma even on my radar yet.
Wow.
It's going to change as time goes. But, of course, Fiona Crombie and Alice Felton for the favorite. That is one that I feel has a strong shot. But I do think that Hannah Beecher and Jay Hart for Black Panther, I think that is the one to go with this year. It's probably going to be the only award this one gets. But I do believe that it will get this award, I believe strongly. And if it doesn't win anything else in the night, I guarantee you it will win this award.
Right.
They will not let... That movie will have a win by the end of the night. I almost guarantee you that.
Now, it has a good shot in this category, but it probably won't end up winning. And this is, of course, Music Original Song, which I still have not heard the one from Mary Poppins Returns, but I've heard all the others, and they're all excellent, and I've seen the films they're from, and they're all excellent. The Academy did something really freaking stupid, where they basically tipped their hand by only inviting 2 of the nominees to perform, but everyone revolted and they went back on it, and now they're letting them all perform abridged versions of the songs. But the 2 that were invited to join in were A Star Is Born's Shallow, which is written by Lady Gaga, Mark Ronson, Anthony Rosamondo, and what's this other one? Andrew Wyatt. And the other one was All the Stars, which is written by Kendrick Lamar, Soundwave, and who were the others that was up? And I honestly think that the either one, Mark Soundwave Spears, Anthony Top Dog Tiffith, Kendrick Lamar, SZA, and yeah. And it was performed by Kendrick Lamar and SZA. Shallow, of course, is performed by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Both songs are excellent. They're both from excellent films. Shallow is very important to the plot of A Star Is Born, which may be why they picked that song as the one to go. The others, honestly, are all in the Happy to Be Here category, even though they're all really good. Diane Warren will be 0 for 10 after this year, which is, feel sorry for her. But, and Lady Gaga could actually be the first person ever to win in this category and an acting category in the same night. But I think it's a tough call, but I'm going to go with Shallow.
Yeah. This is another one of those categories where I have only heard the buzz for one. I've heard strong mention of the other, but even in the strong mention, they always defer to Shallow. So to me, Lady Gaga's song Shallow will be the winner. There is no other. There can be no other. There can be only one.
There will be only one, yes.
So that is my check. And that
it would have been a stronger one if it had at least one more verse, though. It's not. There's not a lot of lyrics to it.
I have heard all of them. My favorite is the RBG one.
Yeah.
But it's not going to win. So, Shallow, I do believe, is going to be the winner this year.
And now we have original score.
All right.
Which we got some interesting stuff here. We've got Alexander Desplat for Isle of Dogs with a very weird, strange score that's very cool. Ludwig Göransson with a wonderful score for Black Panther. Terrence Blanchard with a nice 70s style jazzy score for Black Klansman. I've not heard the ones for the other two, but I think Mary Poppins Returns, they might want to give it something as a token. But I really think this one's likely to go to Black Panther. There's been a lot of buzz about it. It's really, really well liked. People love the score. And I actually think this could be the other one where it's likely as a potential token. The two scores, Isle of Dogs and Black Klansman, are both very... They seem more niche to me, but they're very artsy, so the Academy could go for them for that.
So who's your... So yours is
I'm saying Black Panther.
See, we're talking about ones who are going to have a token nod. I think this is going to be Isle of Dogs. This is going to be Wes Anderson's token nod. Alexander Desplat needs a good... could use another win, I'm sure. And I think that it is going to be the one to go with. Again, this is where the voices have led me. Not the voices in my head, but the voices on the internet.
Oh, wow. They're even more dangerous.
So I am going to look at that. I think this is going to be Isle of Dogs' only win. But I do think that it will be here.
And Wes Anderson will once again go without an Oscar to his own name.
Yeah, well, he certainly isn't going to win Best Animated Feature.
And now we have the category that the Academy hates because they only allow 3 nominees. Makeup and hairstyling. This one's easy. This one's going to Vice. Not even a question.
Alright, come on. I'm still looking for my stuff because I had to shrink it. There we go. Yeah, I only could find Greg Canham, Kate Biscoe, and Patricia Dehaney for Vice. Mm-hmm. It was the only one, really. Yeah. Much like another film not so long ago.
Many people are calling this year's darkest hour.
We have another man in a fat suit.
Well, not only that, but this film covers 40 years.
Yes.
So they age them as well as that. So.
And you saw Vice, was it? How did he look?
The makeup is phenomenal. They really did a great job. They did a little better with him than they did with Lynn Chaney, but they did do a really good job with both. And they cast, for the younger ones, they cast someone that looked so similar you could hardly tell the difference.
And, it's interesting. If this had 4 categories, I'm sure the favorite would have been the 4th.
Yeah.
It's kind of just weird because I always assumed it was there. It was there in the BAFTAs.
Honestly, I think the biggest snub in that one is the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, but whatever.
One of our favorites that I've seen one film, and you've got one film, so you'll be seeing it before the Oscars.
Yes. So, foreign language film. I do have Shoplifters. I would love to see it win. It doesn't have a shot in hell. I really think this is guaranteed to go to Roma, but Cold War could pull an upset.
Yeah, this is my prediction. Roma is the strong one. That is my prediction to win. But if there is an upset, Poland will win for Cold War. Mm-hmm. Cold War has quite a following.
Yeah.
And since I think it's the only category it's nominated for.
No, it's up for...
Is it for multiples?
It's up in 3 categories.
So it could sweep. It's unlikely. Yeah. I think this is the most likely that it's going to win in. But Roma definitely is the favorite here.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's hard to beat Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I think the most likely one for Cold War will probably be cinematography. But we'll see when we get to that one.
Yes.
Film editing. Okay. This is kind of a weird one because from what I've seen, the favorite seems to be Vice. I, frankly, don't think it should go to Vice. There's way too much. If you saw The Big Short, it's the same director. He does really freaking random cuts in his films. And no, the editing there's too much randomness in it. Of the two I've seen, Bohemian Rhapsody and BlacKkKlansman are both much better edited films. But I think this one's likely going to be between Vice and The Favorite. And so I'm just going to call The Favorite.
See, for me, Hank Corwin will win for Vice.
Yeah.
It's the one. As you said, it is the favorite to win.
Yeah.
It is the one that most people are voting for, and the odds are the best in its favor.
Yeah. Shouldn't be. But
that's all I shall say about that.
And now we have the other category. I've actually seen all the nominees.
I've seen all but one.
Documentary short. This one is now on Netflix.
Ah.
Yeah. So, documentary short, there's actually two of them. Period, End of Sentence, and Endgame are both on Netflix, so you can stream them easily at your leisure. And we caught all the others on YouTube, but who knows if they're still there. But honestly, my vote for this one is Endgame. The film it hit a nerve for me. It was really well made, but it hit really, really, really close to home. I really think that is the one that should win. But honestly, I'm going to say it's probably a toss-up between Black Sheep and A Night at the Garden.
That's where all of the buzz is. It's equally split between these two films. If I was one to put out, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Because both of them have. If it was any other era, but the era we are living in now, I would have given this to Black Sheep amongst the two. But because of the era that we are living in today,
right, A
Night at the Garden has a good shot.
I think there's a very strong chance the Academy will pick that as a great big FU to Trump.
But again, I'm still going to go with Black Sheep. I'm sticking to my guns.
Yeah.
Race usually trumps these sort of things. So, and Black Sheep is the kind of thing that would win under any other circumstances.
Yeah.
So I'm going to still stick with my guns about this. I think that's going to be the winner. But if it doesn't win, A Night of the Garden is surely going to be the one to come up behind.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say A Night at the Garden. But I agree with you. Black Sheep could easily win. It's hard to pull a definite for this one.
You're gonna have to write some of these down so that you can have them up so we can keep our scorecard to compare our notes next time.
Right. Well, I'll watch the video and take notes. Speaking of documentaries,
oh yeah,
if you had asked me right up until the moment they announced the nominees, I would not have hesitated. I would say, "Won't you be my neighbor?"
Oh, me too.
Not even a question.
That's the best documentary of the year.
And I would have said the runner-up would be Three Identical Strangers, maybe Free Solo. But no, neither of those got nominated. Instead, Free Solo did. And I've seen Minding the Gap and RBG, and they're both excellent films. I could see RBG winning again as a political commentary on the current status. I could see the Academy picking that just to thumb its nose at Washington. It's a great doc, but I could see that being the reason why. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's a toss-up probably between RBG and Free Solo because that was the most popular of the remaining nominees.
Yeah.
It's really hard to call. Free Solo's more likely to win. So I'll go with that, but it's a real tough call.
So this is one I've seen 4 out of the 5.
Oh.
Hale County is very racially charged, and...
Is that streaming?
It's on PBS, or it debuted on PBS.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to win this year. Minding the Gap also has some excellent racial overtones and undertones. And it is an excellent one.
Not to mention a lot of commentary on classism, and economic issues and domestic violence. It touches on all kinds of stuff.
As somebody who hung out with a lot of skateboarding punk kids when I was younger, it does hit close to home for me. I hung out at some of those dilapidated areas in the neighborhood sometimes. I watch them face plant themselves. I never skateboarded myself, but I held the tunes for them occasionally.
Right.
But again, all the buzz is around two films. Of course, one of the ones that would have been a quick favorite and probably would win in most other years would be Elizabeth Vera.
Halley.
There you go. Jimmy Chin, Evan Hayes, and Shannon Dill for Free Solo. That one has gotten a ton of buzz, but it seems like Betsy West and Julie Cohen have come up from behind and they are gaining much more steam. It was very, very big. RBG, by the way, was very big when it first came out and has been gaining steam again. I believe that this has a really good shot at taking the goal. I think this year, if they're going to make a political statement, this will be the one.
Actually, I changed my answer to RBG. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's really close.
Was it my heartfelt?
Exactly. No. Okay, so directing.
Oh.
Yeah. And here we have an interesting thing, because we have Spike Lee up for Best Director for the first time ever.
I would love to see that.
He could win because Spike Lee. You've also got him up against Paolo Palikowski and Alfonso Cuarón, both for foreign language films, which is very rare that you have two of them in the director category. Plus the favorite and Vice. Honestly, I think this is Roma's category. Cuarón, this is his love letter to a person who is very near and dear to him. This is a recreation of his childhood. It was a labor of love. The Academy will want to reward that. If there's any category the film's almost guaranteed to win, I would say it's director. But there's a lot of people that want to see Spike Lee win. So he's the spoiler.
I am one of those people who would love to see Spike Lee win. I want to see his Oscar speech.
Yes.
If he even goes. But just because I could see him writing an FU speech to the Academy and doing it on stage.
Or pulling a Bob Dylan and doing it by satellite and doing this weird random thing.
I could see that. Spike Lee is an interesting individual. Very eccentric.
Yeah.
So, will he win? I really don't think he'll win. It's definitely, if it's not who I've picked as my favorite, he probably will win. And the one that everybody is talking about is, of course, Alfonso Cuarón. Out of the 30 places I looked at, and yes, I looked at 30 different Oscar sites, some famous, some not so famous, down to bloggers, because I had to go down to like internet bloggers to get the short film ones, except for one or two famous ones. Alfonso Cuarón is the main one. I only have had a handful for Spike Lee. Alfonso Cuarón easily took most of those. He's going to win this. All right.
Costume design, yes.
That one I could tell you without even looking at it, but I'm going to let you go ahead.
Okay, so for costume design, we do have several films with very impressive costumes. I would love to see it go to Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I really would love to see it go to Black Panther, and I think it should, frankly. But I think the favorite has this one. They're all good contenders, but Sandy Powell is a favorite of the Academy. This film is likely to get at least a mini sweep. Of course, Sandy Powell is up for 2 categories, so she could win for Mary Poppins Returns, or she could split the vote, which would allow Ruth Carter to come in and win for Black Panther. But most people don't tend to vote for the designer in this category, so I'm going to go with the favorite, but I want it to be Black Panther.
Well, yeah, the favorite this year is the favorite.
Yes.
Sandy Powell is the one who has. It's not a hands down situation. Many of the talks, and believe it or not, when I list things on this thing, it is not just the top 2; it's all the ones that are talked about. So as you can see, it's usually down to 1 or 2 when it's going to these people. And Ruth Carter does come at a second. I do think that if for Black Panther, if there is a weird upset and Sandy Powell does not get it, Ruth Carter is going to nab this. But I would say Sandy Powell for the favorite costume design. All right.
Cinematography.
You've already mentioned who's going to win this one in your...
Well, a possible one. Honestly, from what I've heard with cinematography, and from what I've seen 2 of these, Roma and A Star is Born. Matthew Libatique is a favorite of the Academy. There is a lot of buzz, from what I understand, for A Star is Born. I personally was underwhelmed by the cinematography. I thought Roma was much better in terms of the camera work. I think Roma's most likely going to win. The favorite could win if it gets a sweep going. But I had said before, if Cold War nabs something, it could walk away with this because supposedly it's a gorgeous film. So, yeah.
To me, Alfonso Cuarón is going to get it for Roma.
Yeah.
It's no real.
It's the most likely one.
Yeah. There was
and it's a gorgeous film.
There were no other mentions. I mean, there are people who say, well,
Really?
this could win, but it's not likely.
Ah.
It's always everybody's predictions. Roma.
See, I could swear I saw several people talking about A Star is Born, but whatever.
Talking is there, but it's about who they think is going to win.
Ah,
One of the big ones.
One of the big ones. Literally, it's big.
Big.
Animated feature. If there was any justice in the world, it would be Mirai.
Mariah's going to win, hands down.
Yes, it should be. I've actually seen 4 of the 5. I will see Ralph Breaks the Internet days after the show. I loved Incredibles 2. I absolutely loved it. But it wasn't nearly as original as Mirai or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man was flippin' phenomenal film. It was wonderful. So was Mirai. Either of them or Incredibles, those are the 3 that are in contention. But I think it's Spider-Man mainly because it has gotten so much praise, so much buzz behind it. Incredibles could win because Pixar. But that, honestly, if it does win, people will say it won because Pixar.
Now you've said that you felt like it was as strong, if not stronger, than Spider-Verse.
I think it's as strong, but I do think that people like originality. They like to reward something that comes out of nowhere and blows everyone away. And I know you yourself felt that Incredibles was a rehash of the first one. A lot of people did. I thought it made some new ground. It definitely, the raccoon fight's one of the best fights of the year. It does have some good stuff going for it. And it's a freaking gorgeous film. They definitely upped their game since the first film came out. It's very well acted if there was a vocal acting category. But if there was a vocal acting category, though, Spider-Verse would dominate.
Oh, yeah.
My nominees, I had 5 nominees out of 10 from that film. Because it was just great.
You see, now, Brad Bird, John Walker, and Nicole Paradis Grindle for The Incredibles 2. And then, of course, there is Bob actually, you can read these names. Bob
Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, Rodney Rothman, and Phil Lord. And is there another one?
And that's it.
Okay.
I just put an and. Yeah, I might as well have you read off those names.
Yeah.
I know they're important. I try to get them read off.
Can you pull that down just a little bit?
So,
there was another one. And Christopher.
And Christopher.
Yes, and Christopher. Christopher Miller.
All right, so there you go. So, any case, it is between Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Incredibles 2.
Yep.
And it is split on the internet with a slight edge to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, there is the split because a lot of people say, and Incredibles 2 is a good film. I do agree. It is an excellent film. And there is that pessimism in me that says, well, it's Disney and Pixar. It doesn't have to be a good film. It'll win anyway. But,
and yet, no one's talking about Ralph Breaks the Internet. That's Disney.
Well, but it's going up. But that's the thing. Whenever a straight Disney goes up against a Pixar, Pixar going to win.
Right.
Just by default.
Right.
Though Disney on their own merit has improved quite a bit. Though Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my pick for multiple reasons. One, yes, it is an original tale. To me, The Incredibles, did it win Best Animated?
Incredibles, I believe, did.
So it's already won for that story. To me, when you rehash a story and you put a new coat of paint on it, if it won the award, well, the original won the award, so the second one already won Best Animated Feature when it came out the first time. Toy Story 3 deserved its win because it didn't win the first two times they told the same story.
And, well, it's funny you say that because that year it should have been up against a Memorial Hosted film that it should not have beat, but the Academy overlooked some awards because there's... Yeah.
But Spider-Verse is not only a fairly original story, it's also got a lot of other cool things. It has diversity in it. It has amazing... it has a lot of experimental animation in it. And though it can be difficult to watch at times, and I do think you're right about the 3D aspect, but to me, it is a much more daring film.
Yeah.
Incredibles is not daring in the slightest. It is incredibly done.
Actually, one of the most daring things and one of the most original things about Spider-Man, ironically, is that it's a very close adaptation of the comics.
Yes.
Because for some reason... most film execs think that to do a comic book adaptation on the screen, you have to change it to the point where you can barely recognize it.
It should have been up for Best Adapted Screenplay.
It should have been. It really should have been. It was a very good adaptation.
So, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I think is going to win. It won the BAFTA. It won the Golden Globe. I think it's going to win this time. I didn't think so at first when I started this year. So it's not just me looking at the internet and looking at the gauge. This is also my personal favorite to win,
Right.
other than Mariah. But my personal favorite that I think has a chance.
Yeah.
So we'll move on.
Yes. To
Alright.
supporting actress.
So
All
there
right.
we go.
And I've only seen 2 of these because I have not seen The Favorite. So, because, yes, The Favorite dominates this category. So, I can definitely say Amy Adams did a phenomenal job in Vice. It's really debatable whether it's a supporting role. I really hate when they minimize these roles. Granted, it's a film about Dick Cheney. But Lynn Chaney is there almost through the film. I mean, so is it supporting? I don't know. Then you had the out of nowhere nomination of Marina de Tavira for Roma. Both of them are excellent. But honestly, neither of them has a shot against the other 3. I see The Favorite splitting the vote. So honestly, this is Regina King's category. She will be the token win for If Beale Street Could Talk. She did get a ton of buzz. People were raving about this role. And I think between the favorite category, the favorites splitting the vote, it pretty much comes down to Regina King, maybe Rachel Weisz or Amy Adams being a distinct possible. I'd love to see Amy Adams finally win because she's never won. But, you know.
Well, I couldn't agree more with you. Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk, that is my pick. That is the one that everyone is talking about. Amy Adams has some buzz, and certainly she was on my top 15. If you haven't watched it,
Which you haven't, watch it.
for the people who were deserving of an award win, who had their snubs in the past.
Yeah.
She really deserves some love, but Regina King, she could use that too. So that's my pick.
And actually, Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz have both won Oscars, so that also goes against them.
And Roma, sorry, first time is rarely the charm. It happens,
Right.
but it's rarely the
And we're hoping it'll happen in the supporting actor category. But anyway, so a supporting actor, I've seen 3 of these. And I think Sam Rockwell in Vice doesn't have a shot in hell. Adam Driver has a shot in Black Klansman. It's his first nomination, and a lot of people thought he was overdue. And Sam Elliott was overdue. 50 freaking years in the business. And he finally got a nomination. And he is great in A Star Is Born. He is absolutely great. From what I've heard, they're all great. Except for, Sam Rockwell doesn't really have that buzz. He's great, but not on the same level. Mahershala Ali, though, seems to be the one to beat. Everyone's talking about his role in Green Book. If they talk about Green Book at all at this point, they're still coming back to him. I think that Ali is the strongest by far, but I think Elliot has a shot because the Academy may think they owe it to him. Because he is overdue. They're the ones I'm going to go with, but I'm going to go with Ali as the number one.
See, Green Book had a very strong beginning. It was well on the way to sweeping this year at the Oscars. It had all the right signs, all the right things, all the right people, and then came the Whisper campaign against it, which wreaked havoc, in my opinion, with it. How much havoc it's wreaked, we will see this Sunday. But still, regardless of it, I think Mahershala Ali will win. He is the only one out of everything else that it's up for that has not suffered due to this campaign. All the odds are still high in his favor.
Right.
If he doesn't get it, the only other one that I've seen anything about is Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me, which came out of the blue for me, but I haven't seen the film.
Right.
Which is this case for still the vast majority. I've seen a lot. I've seen 25, but that's still not the majority. So, Can You Ever Forgive Me? Maybe. But but if they do forgive them, it'll go to Green Book.
All right. Best Actress in a Leading Role. Okay, this is a fun one. And speaking of Can You Ever Forgive Me, Melissa McCarthy up for her first Best Actress nod. We've got several first-timers in this category. The veteran is Glenn Close. And Yelitsa Aparicio has never been nominated, has never acted before this go-round. The only one I've actually seen here are Yelitsa Aparicio and Lady Gaga, and they both did a great job. They both were excellent. They both fully deserve their nominations. I think Olivia Colman has a better shot because of the buzz behind The Favorite, at least than... But either, again, we could get a sweep. But I think this is Glenn Close's award to lose. I think that she's another one who has been nominated several times and never won. There's a lot of positive feeling for her in the Academy and in Hollywood in general. I think that they think it's her time, and I think it will be her time. Coleman is probably the strongest spoiler. Aparicio will be a spoiler if there's a complete sweep for Roma, which is unlikely but possible. But
never a physical release because it's on Netflix.
I'd like to see Lady Gaga win in some ways, but it's going to be Glenn Close.
So to me, it's definitely a race between two people also on my list: Olivia Colman and Glenn Close. The favorite isn't the favorite for me this time. The Wife, which Glenn Close is in. I believe this will be the only win for The Wife.
Well, it's the only nomination.
Yeah, so there you go. And I do think that she has it. She actually was the one that made my top 15 list final, and I do believe she deserves it. And from what I've heard, it's an excellent performance. So my money would be on Glenn Close this time.
Right. Yep, she's this year's Michael Keaton, but she doesn't have a Eddie Redmayne waiting in the wings. Okay, actor in a leading role. I've seen 3 of these. Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody did a very good job. Christian Bale was pretty awesome in Vice, actually. But honestly, I think Bradley Cooper was the best of the 3. But this is one where, and again, like you said, that Whisper campaign pretty much killed it for Viggo Mortensen, and Willem Dafoe was out of nowhere. No one even heard of Eternity's Gate.
It's an excellent performance.
Oh yeah, and Dafoe is brilliant, and he's overdue for an Oscar win. But
Yes.
Bradley Cooper is way overdue for an Oscar win. He has been nominated multiple times in this category and others. He'll probably end up winning for the one of the categories this year. But honestly, I thought he was better than Rami Malek. But from all I've heard, Rami Malek is the one to beat in this category. He is the one that everyone's been raving about for months and months. Either Cooper or Bale could be a spoiler here, but it's probably Malek.
I have not seen any but one of these this year, though I probably will be seeing A Star is Born before the Oscars because it comes out tomorrow. And I have it ordered, so it should
make a
be
point
here
to.
this week. I will be making a point. I'll be watching as many as I can before.
I will be seeing Shoplifters this week.
So, Best Actor, to me, all of the whispers and all of the stuff, originally Christian Bale had a lot higher count, and same with Viggo Mortensen. But again, the Whisper campaign, I think, had killed it for Viggo Mortensen. And with Rami Malek, he has gained a lot of steam. I think that this is going to be his win. The majority of people have put him in. He's won a lot of awards already. He's got a strong shot at winning. That's going to be my vote for Best Actor this year.
All right.
So let's see here. So
one left.
The biggest one.
I think, yeah.
So you're just going to have
Best
to...
Picture. And why in the flippin' hell are there only 8 nominees? Roma. Well, it could be again, if there's a sweep for the favorite, it could be the favorite. And I would love to see Black Panther win, but I'd like to see A Star Is Born as the runner-up. But honestly, it's going to be Roma.
If there is any other winner than what I pick, it will be for Bill Gerber, Bradley Cooper, and Lynn Howell Taylor for A Star Is Born. But let's be fair here. It's going to be Gabriela Rodriguez and Alfonso Cuarón for Roma. It's going to be there. I'm so conflicted about Roma because Netflix is going to be keeping it from physical media.
The bastards.
So it's sort of like Netflix is the enemy.
Yeah.
So I hate to let the enemy win.
Actually, maybe, knock on wood, maybe we've got Netflix could help us out here with both Roma and Ballad of Buster Scruggs, because as we've said before, there should be at least a 5-year lag time before Criterion releases something. So if they hold it for 5 years and then let Criterion put them out, that could actually be great. That could be a good... And do the same thing with Mudbound, because that could deserve a Criterion release.
And that
would be great.
They have a weird mix when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And it's when it comes to releasing stuff, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm hoping to see Roma get released. Mm-hmm. It's just going to... I just don't know.
Right.
But it is going to win. I hope you all have enjoyed this.
Yep.
Of course, subscribe, share.
And of course, be sure, we'll say first of all, of course, let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
If you have...
any predictions?
Yeah, if you've got predictions, or if you're just like, what the hell are y'all smoking? Or, or you need to look at this site, because this site has all the answers. Let us know.
We're all going to be looking at it. Who knows?
Yes.
Maybe we'll even try a live stream on Oscar night. Probably not, but we can try.
Probably not, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Goodbye.